Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Saturday painting session. Since it's Easter, so I decided we go with for something to this topic. It won't be exactly this rabbit. We're going to also improvise just for inspiration. But still, painting eggs is very nice thing to practice doing the shape. Yeah, so where you have the highlight, and you have the shadow side, and then you have the transition, just with the aim to show the object has volume. Yeah, so then it looks 3D on our 2D paper. Today we're using watercolors. So just here I've just a bunch of brushes. We'll see which one will work for me. But let's start, of course, as usually with the sketch. So of course, when you paint with watercolors, usually you do the sketch very, very lightly. So then you don't have your pencil shining through. So I will do now like a sketch with the black marker, also maybe a little bit brainstorming ideas. Yeah, so I'm doing with the markers, so just it's more visible for you. It's also good when you're, for example, a little bit improvising. It's also good to do sometimes like very little drawing. So you just do a very little, you draw your paper size, and then you think about composition. So maybe I want, so my aim is basket with eggs, and then I'm still thinking, shall I add rabbit or not? But so maybe I'm not including in the, like you do the cutted composition. So let's say maybe here is my basket, and here will be some eggs, maybe some egg on so something on the background. Maybe there's like some flowers, and will be maybe. Yeah, also I think I'll go without the rabbit, because my plan is actually to go with a little bit halfly abstract, especially for background playing. Yeah, so maybe, but here maybe I can have some flowers. So just still, so instead, let's say if I'm doing just basket, and of course then I can go in a classical way and I place my basket in the central. Yeah, so then like both can work. It doesn't mean that one is right or wrong. Yeah, and here are some flowers. It just maybe also depends which feeling, what idea you wanna put. You can maybe also the horizontal, and just try. It's good to give it always a little bit of time. Yeah, that horizontal thing today I want. Yeah, I'll stick with them. So and then of course we have the classical rules of composition. We have so it goes a bit more to the bottom, and we leave a bit more space on top. But then let's say I'm planning to have some egg here in front. Yeah, so then I want some objects. So then I'll have also something a bit more detailed, and then I'll have something more. Yeah, and actually also the basket will be also another good thing to practice the shapes. So when you're doing this improvisation, let's say if I would have this basket in front of me, then I could say from where light is coming, and then I can decide on shadows. Here I'm free to go. I can say, okay, my shadow, my light is going from this corner, means the shadows will be here on top. Yeah, so also maybe sometimes when we have the light coming into our eyes. Yeah, it's something often also photographers use in painting. It's also effective. So you have like something very bright in the background, and then you have like all this part would be would be in the shadow. Yeah, so then it gives like the objects, they unite more. I'll go today with the classical. So let's say here where my pencil is would be the shadow. That means under the egg will be somewhere here. And like this would be. Then we remember the rules that the shadow is when it's where the shadow is touching the object, there it's the darkest. Yeah, and then up the shadow going away from object, it becomes more pale. Okay, let's have maybe play a little bit and just maybe some shapes. So one egg is more inside, some is less visible. So I don't know, here I have, let's say 5. And okay, so then maybe even I do a bit more cutting the shapes, because my aim is maybe like I even want to have the whole handle visible. And then again, now I'm doing my handle maybe a bit lower, so I still keep a bit more air on top. So let's say this, since I with marker I can't erase, but you feel free to have those movements to feel the size. You feel it fits comfortably to the paper. And then we have this one can also be you don't necessarily do it like with the like all very precisely. So especially if you do watercolors, then it's actually nice to have you give an idea of the object, the feeling. So not everything has to be detailed. So on this drawing, I'll also show, and we kind of decide. So this classical story about how you do the 3D shape on 2D paper. Then of course, okay, you remember where the light is coming from, and then you need to do choose the highlight area. So it will be the whitest spot. Let's say it's where the light is hitting in a perpendicular way. So then it doesn't matter, my egg can be here red, green, but this spot will be almost looking white. And then it comes also, so if it would be a completely circle, it will be more like just like one curve, since it's the egg. It's usually a little bit, let's say like this, my line now, I like on purpose do it a bit more now hard, so you can see this will be more or less the shape how the shadow is changing. So we have highlight, we will have light area, and then there is transition part, and then there will be like darker part. So this is like a scheme what I'm doing now here. Like you don't really need to do it that dark. We will do later all with paint. And then there is also reflection. And what is reflection? So it's the light reflected. So let's say here, as my pencil light goes, it hits the table, and it goes back to the object. So it kind of double lights it. And that's why we get here the reflection. And as an artist, as a painter, it's actually the moment when you start seeing them. That's why it's important also to either to just observe the objects, also of course try to paint the realistic ones, because then you explore which color, which intensity has this reflection. Because of course, mainly if let's say it's here I have like an orange, not sure if I can show it on if it will be that visible on here, but let's say here, now my main source is falling from that side. Here I have my light spot, then it comes the light, and then it comes the shadow part. And here, just right here, it's a bit lighter than the shadow. But also the trick is this part here can't be lighter than the light area. Yeah, so like if you get it wrong, then this one part starts like jumping out. But if you forget about it and you don't do it, I mean, it's maybe also not that crucial, but it's always looks much better, realistic when you include reflections in your drawings. Yeah. So here, for example, I can maybe also just plan a little bit for myself, maybe where the highlight and the shadow will be. Yeah, just kind of a little bit. And then and yeah, and then I will have some maybe like flowers here, but I will not yeah, I prefer them to do just like improvisation. So maybe I can just sketch a little bit, leaving some just planning the space for them, but in the end I do them more. And then the background we decide the process. Nice. So I give you time if you need to finish your sketch. So also what I do prior when I paint, then I do my pencil sketch, and then I take a razor and I lighten up. Yeah. So of course now when you go with the drawing, and then some areas you kind of go more with the pencil, and then it becomes darker. So just kind of lighten up your drawing. So just especially with this in those light areas, let's say like if you plan to have the egg light pink or yellow, then it's actually not no need to. Yeah, especially like say when I'm painting a sunset, as a sunrise, I do nothing in the area where the sun is with the pencil. Then I just of course plan it, but then because otherwise I will have my pencil visible through. Yeah, okay. So here I did so for myself a quick sketch. And then we can start painting. Let's say watercolors is also a little bit, of course, it has its story and in its rules. And of course, the main thing in watercolors is paper. So you can have, in general, you have like two options. You have paper, just classical one that comes as so it's like cellulose, and then there is paper that's it's cotton. Yeah, so and of course this one is more common. Yeah, and the important thing here, you always look to the number. So it shows like here 200 grams per square meter. It shows how thick is the paper, and actually so it's fine to use the cellulose, but then you start with 200 or more, like 300, then it's much better. Like you can use 200 for sketches because this paper then is cheaper, and then you take 200 when you're already okay. That's my maybe artwork for some special reason. And in USA it will be then LB. Then it will be 110, I think, 140, where you start and you go up. Because if you go less, then of course the paper doesn't then it can't handle the water. Then just like the artwork will not work. And many people think, oh, my drawing, I'm not that skilled, but in the end, it's the paper. Yeah, the paper is very often the reason. And then if you work with cotton, so let's say here you can say I have 300, so it's already a bit more thick paper. But working with cotton paper is completely different technique. Now I'm here using the cellulose because it's more common, of course, and everyone, it's mostly what has. But I advise also to try cotton. Yes. And the main difference lies also how you make the paper wet. With cotton paper, you can take it and you can think it in the bathroom, completely soaked, and then you put it on some plastic board, yeah, and then it's all wet, and then you can create very nice, yeah, like all those effects, and you can make it water many times. So this is cellulose paper. How you make it wet? Yeah, I'm sorry for this long story about paper, but you make it wet, but partially. Yes. So we know that we can paint on dry technique, but how I prefer, now I'm making just my basket wet. Yes, because then I plan to work now with baskets. So I just taking clean water and also not too much. Yeah, for example, now I'm talking and sometimes I put too much. So I put to the basket and to the eggs, because then my aim is to do the first base layer, and I want it to be very, very light and yeah, and nice. So I make it wet. And I leave it, yeah, a little bit, so no rushing straight away with colors. Let it dry a bit. And meanwhile, you can go and prepare your paints. Yeah? I will have, so of course, I'll take maybe something like sienna, ochre for the basket. Yeah, so it's still the classical story. Yeah, and now we will start just with the base layer. So later you will be able to prove a bit more. So something sienna ochre will go for the basket, and then I'll go also for the eggs. Okay, I'll try to do them, yeah, maybe different colors, then just going with the mood. So I'll just also prepare a little bit my paints. Yeah, so just also like if you're working with the little boxes, I just at the moment I don't, everybody look at like also put just the water, just make your paints a little bit wet, and it's easier to work. Okay, I'll go with the basket, and then just I go spontaneously for the egg color. And so we can already actually think a little bit of the shadow, so then we remember it. We've chosen that the light is coming from right, so the shadow will be on the left. And of course, this area will be more dark. And yeah, I just let the color just kind of, you see this, your first layer. Yeah, so I made like very, very actually light. And what, so for example, what gives it, if later I decide, so on my first layer, I go have my flowers here, I can go on top my brown, so it's still in this level that I can very easily change my mind and have, then I'll be precising on top. So yeah, very, very lightly. It's also with the watercolors, kind of, the less brush strokes you have, the better. Like the more you give space for watercolors to blend themselves, especially if you have two colors. So now it's not the option I have just one color, but if let's say I'm painting sunset and I need to mix my sky, the best way you put colors and you just got kind of move a bit around your board. and then you let the colors mix itself. I use a lot of napkins, so just if I feel I have some excess somewhere, then I just can take it off. Okay, very transparent, very lightly my first layer. I let it rest, and now I go for eggs. Okay, orange came into my eye, so I do orange. So here I already keep in mind where my this highlight will be, so the lightest area. And actually I will try to leave it white. So in the end, if I want it to be, if it will be too white, yeah, because I still, if you make it too dark general painting, then actually you want to make it not too light. But so here what I did, I just covered with one layer, and I'm leaving all this area maybe a bit too big, maybe just so, and I'm leaving this white spot. And later I'll be precising, make it darker. But it's a bit important to hold yourself and not to over darken in the start, because then you have more room to play. Go for your colors, the ones you're feeling for. Go next one will be maybe some. Actually, I took yellow and I added to this the same orange I had already on palette. Actually, it became like a bit. And here again, I remember about my highlight, but then generally just all the egg I'm placing. Okay, so for example, now I had this egg influenced the other, so I just go painting somewhere else. So let it dry, then when I do the other egg, yeah, they don't interfere and they don't start floating my colors. Maybe I do something. Let's see, maybe something green here. So for example, again, another difference between those two papers, this cellulose and watercolors, here you can actually clean. So if you cook enough and you had something, you can take the brush and you can wipe out back to the paper. In cotton paper, it's less possible, yeah, because it's just a different texture and the paint goes more into this inside of the. So just to keep in mind this comment. Okay, orangey, green. Okay, maybe then I go with still more yellow as it's yellow. Yeah, so it's then you can start creating like the feeling. Here I took a bit more intense my color. And again, actually, like I painted it all, and now I can just take off a bit paint. I have two more to go. Okay, maybe something pinkish and reddish. So maybe I do some pink here. Yes, all still very pale. Because then I repeat, then you have more room to play with. And then of course here where the highlight is, I try so then it's there is no like strict line of border, that it's really floats and blends. And why? Because it also depends, of course, on the material. So if it would be some metallic object that you are painting, then of course those highlights, you can even see the precise line how it goes. But when it's the object like orange, then this highlight, of course, there is no specific border. It's more. And one more egg. Yeah, if it's still too, let's say, too wet, then maybe also wait before doing, because if it starts floating, like depending, yeah, if those colors they match nicely, you can let them mix a bit. Yeah, if it's say yellow and green, yellow and red, but if it's red and green, then of course when they meet, you get something browny. Okay, very nice. I have forgotten my basket handle in the first go. I'm just gonna have it also again. Yeah, later I'll make it more precise, but now I'm just making very light. So in the end, actually, I can choose maybe somewhere my handle will be less visible. And now I can start already a bit precising my basket. So let's say I can go just with the same mix again. This would be, then I'm already saying, okay, this side will be more in shadow. I'm still thinking, I'm still not doing the cast shadow because I'm still thinking what color will be my table. And okay, here let's go. So for example, then of course you can also divide a little bit. You have this border of the basket, so you can just also visibly do it a bit more. Yeah, but no rushing it. So now here my line, it's a little bit like, no. Yeah, then you just add more water. So like you put, and if you feel okay, it's too much, then you just quickly go to the water and you just. And here again, I can choose also. So I will have the same story on my basket. Some will be highlight, will be also shadow. And now I feel I want to mix so something, but I will decide. So maybe all my background will be here. Maybe I feel a bit more yellowish green. Actually, that's a good idea. I'll create again a bit base for the background. So for me, it's easier to then I decide for the rest of the colors. This is also like something I suggest when you paint and you're not really sure, which color, then I just go with color I'm sure about, and then in the process it makes me feel, gives me the feeling what I should next. What I'm doing now, I'm just putting a bit more water again. The clean water, it's actually also good to keep 2 cups with water. So one you use for cleaning brush, and one always stays clean, because then for these moments when you need to make wet, you will feel if it's clean water, it's just, it's nice, but if it's already colored, then it leaves the. So I made it wet. I'm not rushing. I'm letting it to soak a bit into the paper, and I will just put again my first base color for the background. I'm choosing it to be yellowish green. It's a little bit like it's the favorite moment. It's when you already start doing details and you go with the dry brush precising, then the painting sums up. But I need to have the patience, and like the more you will keep those light areas, and here also then feel free to take bigger brush. The brush. Maybe now I get an idea. So if my light is falling, I can actually also play a little bit with the light direction. So instead of just putting like all yellow, I can do a little bit of this feeling that maybe the light is falling. So I'm just, it's probably very, yeah, so you can see I'm just placing now very light some, yeah, so now that was a lot. So I'm just adding a bit water. I just want it to be just pale. And then of course, paper towel is always a helper to lower the intensity. Yeah, and again, since I know I'll be still coming to the background to do more, it's just to have my preset. Okay, so then why I've switched that quickly for the background, because now my aim is to decide what colors the shadows will be. And then I can have also this color reflected on my basket. And this this was the connection why I wanted to paint the shadow, but then I decided to go through this process to have it. Yeah, so here now I have it all very just light yellowishy. Camera focus. Yeah, now let's think and decide what shadow would be. Of course, it's always like bluish shadow is good. I'm thinking maybe still maybe something a bit more emerald, greenish. Violet. So, violet could be nice. So let's make somewhere space. Here I have red. I can add a little bit of violets, maybe. And again, so now I've decided I'm gonna have something in the chat. Yes, I will send recording. Thank you for, I think I have your email on my box. Of course, thank you. Like if you need to go, you can of course go. Happy for you to stay, and definitely recording will be available. Okay, so I've decided my shadow will be purple. And again, I don't jump straight away to the dark purple. I give it space. So I had my purple mixed with I had something red there. So I just start very lightly. Yeah, and I go this. And why I went with purple? Because I think like since purple and we know purple and yellow, they are opposite colors in the color wheel. So they actually and I started just already adding a little bit of this kind of purplishy feeling on my basket, but still not rushing. Again, and I let it dry, I let it rest. Maybe again, not to forget the handle, but I'm forgetting again. Nice. Okay, let us go back to the eggs. Do some big brush out. And okay, I had orangey. So then again, we just take the same color and we go further. So now already, say, maybe I even just keep already this white area as it is, and I started working just with this main shadow. Then you feel also maybe even already a bit less water is needed. Yeah, but again, if I put this, then I go clean my brush quickly and I blend the border out just with a clean brush and so just, and then again, and that's it, and I let it rest. Yeah. So of course it happens like we want to correct, we want to go more, and it happens with me, but I'm telling myself, okay, I need to let it rest instead of going back and forth with the brush. Yeah, the less it is, and then I'll have the second, third layer, and then I'll have it more precise. And I need to remember to do also the bit purplish shadow on the under the egg as well. It's really feeling a bit more, like this story. Yeah, sometimes like when I go too slow, then it's like I want to rush a bit, just because then you start getting the story better. Okay, but let's switch to others. What was it? Then I had some yellow with orange. And then again here already I'm starting working just with the bottom. And then again here I've placed already a bit darker, then I clean my brush and just go with clean watery brush on the border. So then it just helps to blend out the yeah, maybe a bit too orange, too yellowish. Okay. Later I will correct it. What colors that I had? And it was pure yellow, but it's very small here, but still. So in this case, if you have some egg and it's very small, tiny at the bottom, then I would suggest placing a bit more darker to the inside of the basket, because there, of course, we always have like shadow. Later, when it's all eggs more or less done, we will add more shadows in between eggs, and it will make also the feeling more realistic. Oh, here also a bit too intense. Could have gone less, but watercolors are good. You can clean up. Yeah. And this is so can be different ways, techniques you work in watercolors. But so this is one way when you kind of slowly build up your story. It actually gives you time also to think when you're not rushing. Then, because if I would go straight away with darker and more intense colors, then yeah, because now it's so light that I can even change the color. I can even like, if something, then I can convert it. Yeah. So let's say now the second step, it was setting the kind of this more the transition story. So still will the line of the main shadow will go. And okay, I forgot which pink was there I'm using. Yeah, I think I guessed. Yeah, this one at the back. Yeah, you see I've put a bit too much, but then I can just, if you're quick, you can wipe out. Okay, I had my second layer for my eggs. Now I will let them dry, and let's I will improvise a bit now with flowers. So still let them to dry a bit. And the flowers I suggest we can do just in more more expressive. So mainly will be maybe choosing colors. So maybe something again purplish, bluish can go. So maybe, yeah, and it's also good, of course, also to have in hand something, some paper. Then you can just choose the colors. Okay, maybe if this one fits, maybe not so intense. Maybe the lighter version of this color fits. What else? Again, something this purplish mix can be. Okay, that was a bit too greenish and too brownish. Yes. Yeah, so this is again the moment if you're not sure what color to go, don't rush, take an extra paper, just put some colors on. And then again, then doing flowers, I would go a bit more intense at the bottom and more light on top. So it's actually also nice to use one brush, and then because now it's intensely filled. Yeah, so then I can just place some spots. So now more intense. We can go in different areas. And if you feel like okay, you can just take parallel some brush, just clean with the clean water, and then have some drops in it. Then again, it's but I still have this brush with paint on. And you can also always use this paint brush. It also helps to kind of, and the magic of you can use also paper towel, or it can be also the cloth. It always takes the intensity, the stress out. Okay, actually, I want to go a little bit with purple first before I continue with blue. Okay, maybe a bit more still. Something here. Flowers. Yeah, so here you see this is like purely. So I'm just what I do. I'm thinking about some small field springy flowers, but of course, basically, I'm not doing any flowers in particular. Like just you see some spots. I keep my brush, my bluish brush filled. I go just another, and then a little bit more something purplish. Yeah, and then again, I can just blur a bit my spots with water. Yeah, and like don't rush, like if you feel something goes not like as you wanted, then you just kind of wipe it with paper towel, and then just let it rest. This is also the secret. Don't try to correct it straight away. And it's also something like our brains, like we feel unease, we want to correct, but the golden rule is let it dry, and then it will. Here I want to go with a bit more like pale. So here, like on top. Yeah, I want it pale, but still, and even less intense. So like both the color and yeah, and of course, in the end, we can always do the tapping when you get those splashes, and they also look cool. Yeah, but let's say this is yeah, a bit more. Yeah, and remember, like to give areas, give them some rest. And I'm thinking maybe if something missing. Yeah, so we remember, of course, also composition. Feel if something is missing. Maybe here at the bottom as well. Maybe some maybe flowers they fell. Also maybe here. Maybe a little bit of greenish actually. Just a bit. But maybe not so light, like a bit darker. But just a bit, and also feel where to put this greenish. Yeah, so you know that green is nice, it's being nice with blue. With purple, maybe it's not that friendly. Maybe just a bit towards bluish. Okay, a bit, not too like over green. The thing. Basket, yeah, I'm not really happy with my basket yet, so I'm gonna work, improve it a bit. And then it's also the moment comes when you can start working a little bit with dry brush. So it was here all mainly floating, and then I can start with a bit more something. And then I can come back to my brownish part. If you want, you can also, so those lines can like represent the basket. Oops, a bit wrong direction. Lines of how the basket is built, maybe just somewhere you can. Okay, maybe. Maybe also changing the brown. It's also of course good. So we had, so instead of started putting like more sienna layers, you just go for some darker brown. Okay, like in each painting there is some like things that turn out nicely. So basket is not the best part of my painting here, so I already like, sometimes you can feel it, but what's important is you fight for so instead, like it's always the moment like, it's not working, like I want to start new, or it will be always like the some areas they turn out cool, you have some like very rich color combinations, some areas you don't like, but I always suggest you fight till the end of the painting, because there are a lot of ways you can improve it, and then it gives much more like satisfaction when you manage like kind of to pull out, when you already feel maybe some areas not quite. Not forget the shadow under the egg as well. Yeah, here I'm already doing a bit less water. Oh, a bit too strong, a bit. Like in the end, your drawing can look very strong in the waves of yeah. But as you proceed, as you work, okay, a little touch up on the and again, and I let rest, like something goes not as you wish, always let it rest. And because we still have lots of room to go, we need to repeat, well, at least once, yeah, the story with the colors. Here we can already change a bit. So I had my orange egg, now I want to do darker part for the shadow. I can actually add a little bit of red to it, so then it's a bit more red, a bit more intense. And again, I see those darker spots, in my brush, and then I just blend them out. And again, I try to do as less brush strokes as I can. I let it rest, and better I come back and do more. Yeah. Okay, let's go for, yeah, and here I kind of try, so I remember which color I used, and here maybe I do just a little bit darker. Like if it was a bit more yellowish orange, now I take a bit more pure orange dark, then it's, yeah, and you see how the brightness is coming to the painting. So there's all those pale, yeah, but in the end you can, then you have a choice. You have a choice how intense or pale your artwork is. Because if you start straight away too bright, then you have less room to grow. And yeah, and now you can also see in this side, okay, if this white spot too white, then I just, yeah, kind of go over it a little bit. It stays, but then it's not so, like here in this egg, I also feel it's a bit too jumping out, and then it's very easy to correct. Yeah, but it's more important to save it, and then you decide if you want it less than, yeah. And we had yellow. Small one. And then also we will not forget, so we will do also some purplish shadows in between. Yeah, and I would say working watercolors, it's the way you jump. Yeah, so now you see how my flowers are drying, and of course you remember that yeah, the watercolors when they're dry, they look a little different. Yeah, the brightness is less, and then so just, yeah, and the secret to patience, so you're not just sitting waiting, you just go to the other side of your painting to draw, and then later you see the other side, and, oh, it's dried already. You know, it's like, yeah. So here again, you see, I have like it's too huge, too wide, this area. Yeah. So then I can also correct a bit, and but of course it's always better to go safe and have more. And one more. All righty. Yeah, something starts already to show. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, so like this, you can go work building on top and on top. And then of course, in this case, having paper more thick, that plays the role, because you keep it, of course, interacting, and the paper too thin, yeah, then it just, then in some moment it will not resist anymore. And okay, let's maybe do it more. Now, of course, it's already a bit more like building up, and of course, like your drawing at this moment can look like it's definitely like looking different. So now it's already a bit more your decision where you add a bit more. So you see, in the end, my basket turned out like I have this very light side, and like it's always good to leave some areas like just guessing. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'll add maybe, because I'm still missing something. So I think I'll add this red thing that I had in mind. And then again, the same story. First you go with just some neutral, like the base color. And then later you will add a bit. And then here is actually also good mixing. So like, let's say I play with, I take one pink and then I'll go and take, yeah, so here it's like some lines, but it's all part of plain. And then I take a bit different red and yeah, maybe some orange can be there as well. And again, if some areas like doesn't work, remember the secret, you just like, okay, use water, take off the paint and let it rest. You'll come back. So I'm letting my this red thing also to rest a bit. And once it's dry, I go and precise some shadowy story. Okay, maybe also before I forget, I do a little bit of touch-ups between eggs and some shadows. So just in between, but then be careful, like to feel it if it's dry. I just feel this side of the basket is not like make it, but fighting for it. Okay, a little bit something there, and can still do improvise a little bit on flowers. So come back a bit to flowers. Yeah, then if you've never tried, then of course I suggest you try those splashes. It's fun. So you just fill up the brush and okay, maybe I go still a bit more, and then you just do those heatings, and then of course they can go end up on some parts like eggs and something that if you bother, then you can like quickly you can take them off. Like you probably now don't see them on camera, but So just a bit. And I come back and I can do a bit more chips for my flowers. Yeah, it's actually also good if you had like those flowers and they're like blended, then you can come back and put like the same place inside. Yeah, and then you will get then again those layers. Then you have the lighter one, and then you have and now it's the story of you, how you decide where you want to stop. Yeah, so you know it's always the story of not overdoing. And again, yeah, then you can decide, let's say maybe, so you leave the flowers rest, the ones in the background, and then maybe you do a bit something more precise here. Maybe here you can even have maybe some shape already a bit more that represents the flower and have the story a bit more elaborate. Yeah, and then again, it's you who decide how much you're gonna work on the flower, how many layers. But okay, and now I feel my background maybe needs a bit more editing, although it could be a bit already too late. Like I have so much stuff going on, but I'll try to give a little bit more. Otherwise, now it disappeared. Yeah. So I think I'll just go to my yellow and just try to give a bit more lightness. Yeah, here, of course, be careful on, it's already like the palette is dirty. Yeah, the water, it's already the level of, sometimes it's good also not to be lazy, stand up and clean up. Yeah, especially like, yeah, but I think I like those little bit actively yellow splashes. Then again, not overdo with them, then you're already leaving some areas lighter. And in the end, actually, I like my Easter improvisation. Also, maybe on the yellow, I also use often when something I did like maybe overdid with brown and it feels maybe a bit dark and dirty. I add a bit yellow on top, just as it is, you go on top, and it straight away gives more lightness. Yeah, and then of course you try to integrate it like a bit invisibly, but it freshens up. Nice. Of course, I would be very happy to see your results. or you feel free also to talk and comment. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. That you feel free to talk and ask and share and show on the screen, like if you want. Yeah, of course, there is no must, but if you feel to, then you're very welcome.
Sorry, I'm like focusing on trying to do this. Yours came out really good. Mine still needs a lot of detail, I feel like. I'm just waiting for some parts to dry and
Cool.
just into the background.
Thanks. Thank you, nice, very Vanessa, for sharing. Yeah, it's also like in watercolors, like since, yeah, if we use acrylics, we go a bit different. In watercolors, the story is a bit more lightness and transparency. So here, of course, it's like a little bit not overdoing. And
yeah, I feel like I went a little too much with like some of my colors, like they came out really dark. So I feel like I need to work on my blending as well.
Very nice, but it's very important to have those things that you can actually name. You said, okay, actually my problem in today's painting was that, okay, it didn't turn out so right. So the story is that you next time you feel I need to take less paint, I take more water, and then I just go maybe more slowly, like then I will have more layers of building up the intensity.
Yeah.
But then I'm on a safer side, not to have it too dark straight away.
Yeah.
So just and it takes also a bit like patience, this building up, because you kind of, hey, I've put the color where it's gone, because in watercolors it is so that it's going away. But yeah, cool. Okay, and of course, already wanna do a little bit more maybe to them.
I feel like also like I'm pretty new to watercolor, so like the idea of like adding to it and like letting it dry and then just like how you were saying, like to like if you feel like you messed up, like just like you can come back to it kind of thing and fix it, is what you're kind of saying.
And actually it's something I'm suggesting, that you actually do it more, like you don't fight till the end, like at once. So you always fight till the end for the whole drawing. But in some areas, if I see this red thing on basket is not going well, what I do, I take paper towel and I lower the intensity and I let it dry. So it's like golden rule, let it dry. Because then I can come back and it's much easier for me to correct rather than trying correct on the spot. But like our, like brain and this impatience, it's usually like, it's normal. Yeah. So I'm actually like telling it to myself, like, okay, no, I'm letting it dry. And that's why it's good. You distract yourself, you go to switch the other somewhere, and then you come back, it's right there. And you go and improve. And then but for example, I feel that watercolors, they like I like taking them in like depending like on the mood, and when you have like a bit maybe more this go with the flow mood, or more like floating experimentative, like acrylics, like for me, it's of course personal, like it's more like when I'm kind of pretty sure what I'm doing. But if today it was like completely maybe a bit more improvisation than the watercolors, because there you can use actually the quality of watercolors, that they float and you get something that you don't expect. Yeah, and so this also something.
Yeah, I feel like that's my issue as well. Like I usually have like a specific thing I want to paint and like really let myself kind of just experiment and like see where it goes kind of thing.
Oh, interesting. This yeah, and I think that actually watercolors they help with this.
Yeah.
So it can be also maybe sometimes like you can use watercolors as a sketch prior going to acrylics maybe. Yeah, so then because it can open some interesting combinations. Yeah, and then another rule, when you feel your painting is going worse, it's time to stop. So this is just like pretty much like that also general painting and some areas in particular. You do it and you feel okay. Now it's all just going worse, then again the rule just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but just kind of hold your hand and very nice. Okay. The favorite moment of the painting is taking the tape off. Yeah, so maybe this thing on top could be maybe a bit lighter. It's kind of now a bit jumping out, with taking attention from maybe eggs. But okay. Nice. Well, thank you very much, Vanessa, for joining.
Thank you so much for everything. It was really I'm definitely gonna rewatch your recording and try to recreate it, I guess.
Thanks. Yes, sure. I'm happy you enjoyed. Happy it was useful. Of course, then hope to see you next Saturdays. And yeah, thank you and happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks.